A very good evening from Rwanda's capital here in Kigali. You're watching the news in English on RwandaTV, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Ahead of President Samia Suluhu Hassan's two-day state visit, business people commend the significance of this visit from an investment standpoint. Media practitioners in Rwanda believe that there will be easy access to information following the new appointments made at the cabinet meeting of 30th July 2021. Happy Sunday and a happy new month. A warm welcome to tonight's broadcast with me, Gloria Mutesi. Starting us off tonight with just a few hours before President Samia Suluhu Hassan's two-day state visit in Rwanda begins, businessmen and women from Tanzania and Rwanda are hailing it for its economic significance, especially from an investment standpoint. Seshnare with the details.
Tanzanian businessmen working here in Rwanda have praised the country's conducive investment climate, pointing out that the country's policies are very good for business.
For all these times, we haven't faced any challenges from the government here. The investment sector is well programmed and there is no bureaucracy, and we are happy for that. We are happy working in Rwanda, and normally the government is giving us all the assistance, and there is no any such big challenges which we face without getting any assistance from the government. We are fighting for the increment of throughput because it's been a long since this price has been fixed. It was 2014, now it's 2021. Everything has gone up, spare parts and everything. The life has gone up. The dollar has rise up, the faranga has gone down, so it cost us. That one is cost us. So, but we are in a negotiation with the ministry and the rural. We hope they will take it into consideration.
Rwanda's trade with the rest of the world relies heavily on the Central Corridor, with up to 450 trucks crossing the Rusumo border with Tanzania every day. Yet Rwandan businessmen and women point out that doing business in Tanzania is not easy, with companies established there required to have big Tanzanian shareholders, working visas not easy to obtain, and Rwandan goods allowed to sit for just 2 weeks at Dar es Salaam's port. Yet some other countries in the EAC are allowed up to 30 days, issues they feel should be addressed. Tanzania's High Commissioner in Rwanda notes that the visit by President Samia Suluhu Hassan will benefit people in both countries.
The visit is very important because Rwanda and Tanzania are neighboring countries, and we needed to strengthen our relations and cooperation between these two countries. So this visit is part of that mission. Rwanda is very important to Tanzania. Of course, even Tanzania is very important to Rwanda because we are two neighboring countries, and we must have cordial relations between these two countries. And of course, we must chart out the areas of cooperation because our people are trading together. Rwanda is using Dar es Salaam port, and therefore that is what is all about the importance of these two neighboring countries. Our relations will enable us to grow economically, and of course to have good relations is also good because we are neighboring countries. And then if our relations are good, our people will do cross-border trade without any problem.
According to the UN's Commodity Trade Statistics database, Rwandan exports to Tanzania amount to $295 million annually, while imports to Rwanda from Tanzania are valued at $523 million.
Those working to promote cooperation between the people of Rwanda and Tanzania are noting on the significance of President Samia Suluhu Hassan's visit on numerous fronts. Earlier, we spoke to Dr. John Musemakweli, who is the chairman of the Rwanda-Tanzania Friendship Association.
Dr. Musemakweli, let me begin by asking you this. In light of the recent developments when it comes to Rwanda-Tanzania relations, what does this visit by Her Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan reflect on the desire by both countries to further strengthen their already good bilateral ties?
Well, I don't have much to tell about that, but much as I know, we still have good relationship with Tanzania as Rwanda, and I'm sure she's going to strengthen that relationship. She's going to add more on from what her successor was doing, and I mean the predecessor. And I'm sure what we are doing right now to maintain that kind of relationship, she will continue with it, and I'm sure she'll add more. I do understand that she has a lot of things to do with the neighboring countries. She said about it some months ago when she was taking the office, that was one of the things she's going to do is to strengthen the relationship between Tanzania and the neighbors. And that is, I'm sure, part of her objective in this trip to Rwanda.
Rwanda relies heavily on the central corridor that runs from Dar es Salaam to the DRC for imports and exports. What sort of economic impact would the strengthening of Rwanda-Tanzania cooperation in other sectors, where a lot of potential has already been identified, have on this particular sector when it comes to economics?
The corridor, this central corridor, Tanzania to Kigali to DRC, is very important economically to the three countries. First, DRC and Rwanda will all import up our goods from abroad through the Dar es Salaam port. And the Dar es Salaam port has been a hub for many years for the countries that border Tanzania, that is Zambia, DRC on the other side, Burundi, Rwanda, and even Uganda. You can imagine how big that port is and how it's important to our economies, because for one, I think probably 80% of our goods go through that place, even for the eastern DRC. And even that part of DRC, I understand there are many things that goes through Zambia towards DRC, and this makes the whole business very important economically, because in Rwanda we are in the middle of DRC and Tanzania. Most of the goods that goes to the DRC passes through Tanzania, through Rwanda, I mean. And actually, our traders are benefiting because we have got people who have got transport facilities that transport goods from Dar es Salaam to DRC. The vehicles are owned by Rwandans, others are owned by Tanzanians. You can imagine that kind of trade that is going in between. So this is what I see during the visit of Her Excellency Samia Suluhu, that she will come here to try to strengthen that kind of trade between our three countries. And that is very important economically to the people of Tanzania, the people of Rwanda, and the people of DRC. It's quite economically important.
And finally, as the chairman of the Rwanda-Tanzania Friendship Association, how would you say the president's visit helps when it comes to relations between Rwandans and Tanzanians in general, moving away from the significance of the visit from a diplomatic standpoint?
You see, Rwatapa is a friendship association between Tanzania and Rwanda who have been living there. I mean, which is Tanzania and Rwanda Friendship Association. We do a lot about trade and the relationship, which are social and even beyond that. And as much as I know, we have been working with the ambassador, the High Commission of Tanzania in Rwanda, by organizing Rwandans and Tanzanians on the other border and the other parts of the country, to make sure that we are building a relationship between the people-to-people relationship that would actually enable, first, the cross-border trade between Tanzania and Rwanda, also facilitating our traders, traders who have got business in Tanzania, we're trying to facilitate them through many ways, because if you are doing trade in other countries, there are certain obstacles and things that can make it not trade well. We've been using the embassy in the Rwanda and Tanzania officials that are responsible for trade and investment to make our traders make trade very well without any problem. We have removed a lot of obstacles that have been going around without unnecessarily. We have done actually a lot to make sure our traders who have got business in Tanzania are doing it fairly and actually in a very, very conducive way. The relationship is, I mean, I'm sure the ambassador of the High Commission of Tanzania and Rwanda is very much aware of that, and he's going to take the what is happening here. I was talking to him this morning, and he has been recalled home. But as much as I know, he will make sure the incoming one working with us again in that same motive of building the people-to-people friendship between Tanzania and Rwanda.
Dr. John Musemakweli, thank you so much for speaking to Rwanda Television.
Thank you so much.
To other matters now, following the establishment of a government spokesperson who is not a cabinet member, and for the first time ever, a press secretary in the office of the president, media practitioners here in Rwanda have noted that this is good news when it comes to access to information.
The media practitioners we spoke to acknowledged the significance of the appointments and called for progress in respect to access to information. We as journalists have welcomed that decision made by the cabinet meeting because we believe it reinforces the implementation of the Access to Information Law of 2013. If anything, I am asking that if possible, the press secretary in the office of the president hold a press conference at least once a week, a day everybody knows. It was difficult for us as journalists to call the Minister of Foreign Affairs every time we wanted a comment from the government. And as for the office of the president, we would have to wait for press conferences from the head of state himself. Now that a press secretary has been appointed, things should be much easier for us. The fact is, journalists cannot reach the president anytime they want, but they can get to the press secretary, who has access to the president and can quickly pass on the relevant information to the media. Political analysts and experts have also commended the move, though they say it is not enough. However, it is not enough, and what do I mean by that? I mean we should have daily or at least weekly updates on what is happening in such an important office like that of the president, and what sort of views are coming from it when it comes to certain events, without having to wait for specific events to be organized, because information is always flowing and can help us in our research. Such information can also be useful for regular citizens. They also say such communication channels can help with promoting the true image of the country. First of all, you must understand that the image of the country is something of great importance. With the sort of technology we have today, it is not difficult for that image to be tarnished if no effort is made to preserve it. Without the proper channels in place, the dispensing of information may be slower than it should be. With appointments like this, the country is addressing that issue. A lack of information or outdated information can be a serious problem. An announcement issued on Saturday by the Office of the Prime Minister informed the public that the cabinet meeting that had sat the previous day had appointed Yolande Makolo as the government spokesperson in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, while Stephanie Nyombaire will now serve as the press secretary in the office of the president.
With activities and transport resuming in the city of Kigali and other districts across the country after a 15-day lockdown, a cross-section of people say it's time to step up efforts to adhering to the public health measures because the virus is very much still present. Construction and various business activities, public transportations are some of the activities that have resumed after a third lockdown that started on the 17th of July. There are sentiments of joy for people as this comes as a relief to many. We thank the government that thought about these activities to be resumed. We know the measures that we must take. What's different this time, though, is reducing the number of employees as stipulated in the guidelines and then continue to wear our face masks, sanitize and encourage all employees with symptoms to go for a checkup. Even though the lockdown has been lifted, the virus is still very much present, hence why we need to step up our efforts in protection and prevention for the infection rate to drop. We encourage the passengers to appropriately wear their face masks, sanitize, and we are now taking 50% of passengers. It's my responsibility to wear my face mask appropriately, avoid physical contact where necessary, and practice social distancing. That's my role in the fight against the spread of the virus. Dr. Tarsis Munga, the state minister in charge of primary health care at the Ministry of Health, calls upon people to not become complacent, even with the resumption of activities.
n'imifunguye nabyo ntabwo ari ukuvuga ngo abantu indwara yashize nimugende mukora ibyo mugomba gukora.
Just because the lockdown has been lifted doesn't mean the virus is no more. We are calling for cooperation from the population, the government and other authorities such as the police so that we all work together in the fight against the pandemic. The measures in place are there to help everyone protect themselves and others as well. I believe where we currently are in this fight, no one should really undermine the severity of COVID-19 by going against all the set guidelines. That will not benefit us at all. When the lockdown was enforced on the 17th of July in Kigali City and 8 other districts across the country had registered record infection highs of up to 1,997 in one day. Figures from the Ministry of Health indicate 860 infections were recorded on the 31st of July. The Rwanda National Police has arrested journalists at Afrimax TV. The journalists say they were celebrating the milestone of having reached 1 million subscribers and decided to gather and share some food and alcohol. The police was alerted about the event through social media posts made by the journalists themselves, resulting in them getting apprehended. Some of those detained admitted that they knowingly violated the COVID-19 preventive measures. Another group was found swimming in a pool at a residence home in Chimirongo sector, as one of them had gathered the rest to officially introduce to them his fiancée. They also confessed to knowingly violating the measures in place.
From the last night we were arrested, we realized we were in the wrong, and I am here on behalf of all those people to take full responsibility of our actions for not following COVID SOPs, and I pray for forgiveness and call out to people out there to make sure that they follow the set guidelines of SOPs. I'm sorry on behalf of those people there.
The Rwanda National Police Deputy Spokesperson, Chief Superintendent of Police Africa, Sendahangadwa Apol, commends the people who have been involved in exposing those violating the COVID-19 preventive guidelines. Now away from Kigali, cross-border traders in Rubavu district are happy about the fact that they are now able to take their goods to the town of Goma in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Those in the hospitality and tourism sectors in the district have also been expressing confidence that business will pick up again now that the movement restrictions between Kigali city and the provinces have now been lifted. Tourists are also happy that life is progressively returning to normal in Rwanda.
Without the lockdown, we can start seeing people in the streets again. And also that's part of what we were looking for in Rwanda, right? We come for the landscapes, but not only for this, we also come for the population. We want to meet people, we want to see.
COVID-19 measures, however, still forbid gatherings of any kind, and hotels are not allowed to serve dining guests. We now take a short break, but we will be back with more news. That's all we had for you tonight. Thank you for the privilege of your time. I wish you a great week ahead, as well as a joyful month of August, full of answered prayers and perfect health. God bless you and keep you. And until next time, I'm Gloria Muchisi. Bye for now.